Wow, hey everybody, how are you doing? Hope your Wednesday is a great one. Wow, this week is going at a weird pace. But at any rate, the Oakland Police have some good news. Um, Even though the news happens to be of a incident that started off um, not so good. The Oakland Police on February 15th of this uh, month at 5:19 p.m. Pacific Standard Time got a call from a person who reported that another person was sitting on a ledge of a parking lot, 10-story parking lot, rocking back and forth. And upon arrival to the scene, the officers found a person with half their body hanging over the ledge of the structure on the 200 block of 20th Street. And police report that thankfully, one of the responding officers is a member of Oakland Police Department's tactical negotiations team and crisis intervention trained as well. The officer quickly made their way to the distressed person, and that person said that they felt like they were going to jump off the building. And at times, the person was swaying their body as if to actually do that at that point. And so the police report that the officer continued patiently talking to this distressed person for about an hour. About an hour. And the officers convinced the person to, hey, just not do it and return to safety. And the individual in turn just, gave the officer a hug of thanks. Oakland's new police chief, Lerone Armstrong, reports that the opportunity to take life-saving actions is the most significant call for the responding officers. We're trained for these moments, and the exceptional actions of these officers show the department's commitment to the preservation of life, and that's their most important mission. And the report continues that all interactions by a member of the Oakland Police Department, hey David, how you doing, is an opportunity to build trust and legitimacy within our community. We thank our officers for their courageous efforts to save the life of a community member. I have to report, folks, this is a live stream, so Dave Compton chimed in, who I owe a sweatshirt to. At any rate, hoodie, sorry. But at any rate, between this video that I'm making, which is based on a release, it wasn't really called a press release. Well, it is a press release, but by the Oakland Police, and Oakland at-large counsel an hour ago now. The city is beginning to take making hands, as opposed to expecting someone else to do it, like the standard channels, because there just isn't the media there used to be, for a host of reasons. The reason media has changed is, first of all, because of the smartphone making it less expensive, and also that media advertising dollars that went away from standard television. They went online, but they don't pay on a per content basis, or viewer basis for that matter. They don't pay what KPIX or any of the other Ks in the Bay Area generally receive, and are able to pay their reporters. As Joe Vasquez, who's with Channel 5 and has been, I think, for 30 years, told me, they're living on borrowed time. What he means by that is the monies they make, which are upwards of $200,000, are from a time when they were the only game in town. And you didn't have social media or YouTube to compete with. And that's how they view it. And now the money that they're making is actually causing those media organizations to operate at losses. And there's no government subsidy or any way for them to, at present, make up for that. And the problem that they're facing is a problem that's more acute for newspapers, which really started going under 20 years ago because of the price of newsprint. And I remember back in '93 when I was a columnist for the Montclair, my first news job. The publisher then, Warren Chip Brown, started complaining back then of news costs going up because of newsprint costs rising. See, 93, 2003, 2013, that's 20 years. 2013 to now, that's another 26, 27, 28 years. 28 years later, you have a dramatically reduced footprint for the release of news and from a paper standpoint. And also, smartphones like the one that I'm using have made producing news a lot cheaper, which is great. But again, you've got more outlets and fewer ad dollars per outlet to go after. So that's what's happening. And I think that's one problem. The other problem is a lot of traditional media people do not understand the role of influencers or how to work with influencers. They don't even understand that their own people in their anchor positions are influencers. And so they don't have them sitting at a desk at a prescribed time, at a time when people are used to using media to time shift. And there are some who've got it, some who have not, but overall, they all got it too late. You know, it'd been a different thing if, for example, KPIX had partnered with me locally, or KTVU, who said early on, hey, Zinni, you're an influencer, and we want to have your segments on our broadcast, and then in turn you can broadcast our stuff, and we can go from there. Never did that. I remember I tried to establish something called the Monty Poole Show around the great Oakland Tribune columnist and friend, although he doesn't stay in touch like he used to, whatever reason. But I had this idea for a blog called the Monty Poole Show, which in a YouTube channel called the Monty Poole Show. And the idea was we would take the Tribune columns that he wrote and use that as quite literally the script basis for the YouTube channel, and then what went on the blog, right? So we put the YouTube videos on the blog, which was actually a blogger blog. And in turn, we also had a Twitter account that was to be called the Monty Poole Show, and they would automatically receive the feeds from the blog posts and the YouTube videos, right? The only component we needed was the thumbs up of the Oakland Tribune. At the time, Martin Reynolds was the editor, and he said no. Still something that irks me. Even though, and I remember Oakland Councilman Rebecca Kaplan introduced us a few years later, and he half apologized and said, let's get together. But in his mind, let's get together didn't mean him calling me. He's never called me, right? It meant me calling him. If a person's mean to you like that, do not give them this time or space when they've done that to you. I mean, if you haven't done anything to them, they've been mean to you, and then they say, oh, you give me a call, forget it. It's like they want to stay on top. And I say this now, as I've said then, and I'll say it again, black folks, as hard as it is for us collectively, for one black person to treat another black person that way is shameful, absolutely shameful. And again, you have people in media today who feel like as long as they get a position with a traditionally white recognized firm, that it's okay for them to be crappy to other people who are not with that organization. There's a lot of people out there like that, regardless of color, and yes, who are black too. But what happens is that hubris is immediately taken down by the technological innovations that come out on a regular basis that they are not using. And now, it's so fragmented that it's difficult to determine which way it's going to go. Jay Will says traditional media is in the same boat as shopping malls. After COVID hit, shopping malls took an even bigger hit. Yep, because people were cut off in that case from, and I don't know if traditional media is in the same boat. I think traditional media is in a different boat than shopping malls, because traditional media could adjust in a quicker better and cheaper way to media change than shopping malls. In order to make a shopping mall matter today, given how things are changing, you're going to have to add live workspaces to a shopping mall, but that's another discussion. Anyway, just wanted to add in that commentary behind what the Oakland Police are reporting and why they're taking a more aggressive, well, I would say a good start. It's not as aggressive as I would prefer the Oakland Police or elected officials to do, but it's a start. Anyway, subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. We'll see you.